Jake loved drawing. Every day after school, he'd sit at his desk, sketching animals, trees, and scenes from his imagination. His room was full of his art, from crayon scribbles to more detailed pencil sketches. One thing was consistent. He always used dull, gray paper. "Why don't you use brighter paper?" his mom would ask. Jake would just shrug, saying he liked it that way. One day, Jake's art teacher announced a school-wide contest. The task was simple: create something that represented what made you happy. Jake knew exactly what he wanted to draw: a giant tree with branches stretching out like welcoming arms. He spent hours working on it, making sure each leaf and bark detail was perfect. In the meantime, Jake's best friend Sam dropped by. Sam wasn't much of an artist. He liked playing outside and rarely touched a pencil unless it was for homework. "What are you drawing, Jake?" he asked, peering over Jake's shoulder. "A tree," Jake replied without looking up. "It makes me happy." Sam nodded, but then noticed something. "Why always on gray paper?" he asked, picking up a bright blue sheet from Jake's desk. "Why not use this?" Jake shook his head. "Gray paper is fine," he said, focusing back on his drawing. Days passed and the contest deadline was near. Jake finally finished his drawing. He looked at the tree and felt satisfied. It was just like how he imagined. But when he looked at the gray paper, he felt a tinge of doubt. He dismissed it quickly. "It's about the art, not the paper," he told himself. The day of the contest arrived. Students submitted their works, each one more colorful than the last. Jake handed in his gray paper tree and felt a bit nervous seeing all the bright colored drawings around. "I hope they look at the drawing, not the paper," he thought. A week later, the results were announced. Jake didn't win. In fact, his drawing wasn't even mentioned. Disappointed, he went home and locked himself in his room. He stared at his tree, now looking dull against the gray background. "Why so glum?" Sam asked, entering Jake's room. "My drawing didn't even get noticed," Jake replied. Sam looked at the drawing and then at Jake. "Maybe it's the paper," he said gently. "Try using the blue one next time." Jake thought about it and decided to give it a shot. He picked up the blue paper and started sketching the same tree. As he drew, he noticed how the colors stood out more vividly. The leaves looked greener, the bark more textured. When he finished, he stepped back and looked at his work. The tree looked alive, almost as if it could leap off the paper. Jake smiled, realizing Sam was right. It wasn't just about the art, it was also about how it was presented. The next time Jake entered a contest, he used the blue paper. His drawing won first prize. "Sometimes the background makes all the difference," he told Sam later. In life, we often focus so much on our efforts that we forget the importance of context. Like Jake learned, sometimes the smallest change in how we present things can make the biggest impact.